This episode of Road to Apex is sponsored by TranStar Auto Body Technologies. Previously on Road to Apex.
So these folks decided, let's build a road across the country and get this automotive thing really going. The Lincoln Highway is certainly original Americana.
That's the kind of automotive equivalent of climbing Mount Everest. You can't get any crazier than that.
I'm just in general inspection right now, just seeing what's here and what is going on with the truck. This thing's pretty beat. Even though the tonneau cover doesn't work, the bed is in pretty good shape, nice and clean. So far, the biggest thing I found was when I was driving it. And the transmission torque converter shudders so bad, it'll knock the fillings right out of your teeth if you have any. They started to do a repaint on this a long time ago. Gary had told me that the guy that was doing it got in over his head and didn't realize that there's some fiberglass components on this and there's some oddball things like the bed. After he started sanding it and stripping it down, he told Gary it was going to be 3 times the amount. And of course, Gary was not pleased with that, grabbed his truck and left. What you have now is a partially sanded, clear coat removed vehicle that was sitting outside for a long time with the elements, and then of course the paint couldn't protect it, nothing to protect the paint either, so got some problems with the paint, but it can be fixed. Could be a lot worse for a 20-something-year-old truck. Goes to show what warmer climate does for a vehicle. Check engine lights on. I'm gonna plug in the scan tool. Holy crap, that's a lot of DTCs. Nice to know that I have a rear wiper motor DTC when there isn't a rear wiper motor. This does have a tonneau cover module, and it's not seeing it, which is kind of troubling because the modules on these tonneau covers are hard to find and they're very expensive as well to replace, if you can find one. Well, I've seen them going for about $1,000. It's not fun. It's a lot of money. Anytime you buy a vehicle, whether you're personal or professional, it should be inspected. If you're a professional, obviously, you know, most techs will kind of go through what we know and look everything over. If you're not a tech and you buy a vehicle, should have it inspected by your local technician, somebody you trust. Even better yet, have it inspected before you buy it. I didn't get that luxury. I did everything based on phone calls, some conversations, and I'm also at the mercy that there was only a limited amount of these for sale. But I'm also planning a long drive. We're talking close to 3,000 miles. 1, I want to be comfortable. 2, I want to know what I'm getting into. 3, I want to fix it ahead of time so that it's ready to go, and I don't have to worry about breakdowns. Well, hopefully anyways. This car hasn't been on the road in a long time. Gary was no longer able to actually physically get in the vehicle too much anymore, so I had to take his word for a lot of it. But, I mean, he probably hasn't seen or driven the thing in years. He's probably not 100% sure of some of the things that I found wrong with it. He probably didn't even know about it himself. Not going to fault him. Drove it 670 miles on the way home, was just checking the air and the tires, putting some oil in it and saying, let's try it out. I'll give it to the old girl, she made it. I don't think she was happy about it, but she made it. Take a look at those wiper blades. I would have had to stop and buy wiper blades if it started raining. I think it's time to put it on a rack, check the front end, check the brakes, check for any oil leaks. You know, my buddy Nate did take a look at it for me, but he didn't get it on a lift, didn't take the tires off. He was just basically in the area. It lives close by, so he did me a solid by at least checking it out, check to make sure it ran okay. Did take it out on the road. Never got it up to, 55, 60 miles an hour where I started having some problems with the torque converter, clutch, and overdrive problems. He didn't have it up in the air. Now I'm having it up in the air for the first time. This is nice. Oh, the other one's over here too. So this is what's left of the sway bar link. And this is on both sides. They're broke. It's not a big deal to replace them, but it really affects how this body roll happens when you turn left or right. It was really noticeable as I was driving this. Justin was driving with me, one of my film guys. Every time I turned left or right, he either went out the door or on my lap. So I wasn't surprised to find those broken. It's an easy fix. Definitely a couple of leaks we'll want buttoned up. Not nearly as bad as the Cadillac though. It actually looks like this might have a oil cooler, which is a little bit surprising, and it looks like those lines might be what the culprit is for the leak. I wanted to clean it down today, but I ran out of the one thing that every tech hates running out of, and that's brake cleaner. So I'm just gonna have to try and do the best I can just to try to see if I can quickly pinpoint this leak. It might just be the oil filter housing assembly, which isn't a big deal to repair, so I'm pretty lucky about that. It doesn't look serious, so we're pretty lucky there as well. This tie rod boot completely tore wide open. Dry rotted. Doesn't look like there's any grease left in this thing. Surprisingly, it's not very loose, which I thought it would be, but I still want to replace that because of that. That would lead to early failure of your tie rod, which I'm surprised it already hasn't failed. Now you'll see I'm at the 9 and 3 position on my front tire, and I'm moving it back and forth gently. I'm not going to try and swing this whole thing around. What I'm doing now is trying to feel there's anywhere in any of the joints, the inner tie rod, the outer tie rod, ball joints, which we've got some movement right here. Now that could be wheel bearing, could be ball joint. I'll have to get a pry bar and possibly a second person to give me a hand with the inspection on that. So this doesn't feel terrible, but this is a problem. This up and down movement, if you can see that. And there's some serious problems, everybody. Another reason I shouldn't have drove this thing without taking it to somewhere in North Carolina. This is frightening. That is, wow. That is scary that I drove this 700 miles like this. I really am gonna have a hard time checking the ball joints. But if you look inside, watch as I'm moving it. Here's lower ball joint. There's my upper ball joint. You can also see the boot is wasted on that, so that's gonna have to be replaced too. There is no boot on that upper ball joint there. Sway bar. But this movement is all wheel bearing. And that's a lot of wheel bearing play. Tires were really dry rotted, sun baked. You can see all the cracks in here. I gotta show Justin so you can see how much he was close to dying. Justin, come here. You're gonna want to play the lottery tonight. Just doing a front end check. Watch this.
No wonder. Remind me not to get in the car with you.
I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, you got us home, so I guess I could.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess we didn't die.
I'm the one person you want in the car with. I'm surprised it didn't actually collapse on us. That's really bad. Holy shnikes. Oh, let me get the light on that. Oh, what was that? That, my friends, is the upper control arm. I should not be able to move that like I just did. But, watch. Let's see how tight this nut is. It's not, because I'm turning it by my fingers, if you see that. Wow. That is horrifying. So when you're checking your ball joints, you want to make sure your suspension is loaded. So I'm lifted up underneath the control arm with the rack, and now I'm going to pry up and down to check those ball joints. So you can see right here, look at the movement. Go ahead and do it again. Look at this movement right here. So we've got movement. Do it again, there you go. Let go, again, let go. You can see that movement. This ball joint is no good. It needed to be replaced. It just has to. That's a lot of movement, way beyond specifications. And of course, the upper control arm we just know is loose. I'm gonna have a hard time seeing if that ball joint's bad because of the control arm being loose. I'm gonna end up replacing that control arm. And we're gonna also have to replace this ball joint. And of course you can see the sway bar link and you can see the outer tie rod that's loose. It's not rusty under here, it's just 185,000 miles. Probably original parts and probably hasn't had any service done to it a long time. It's just normal wear and tear. Nothing to be scared of except when you find out you just drove 700 miles like that. Sorry, Justin.
At 1-800-EVERY-RIM OEM Wheels, with a massive inventory, we buy and sell reconditioned, new takeoff, and used OEM replacement wheels, all backed by over 150 years of combined experience. Text pictures to 951-RIM-TEXT or visit us online at 1-800-EVERYRIM.com. Aishin is a trusted and reliable source for high-quality aftermarket automotive components and technology. We redefine mobility through our broad range of technologies and product lines. At Aishin, we are poised to embrace the future, inspiring movement and creating tomorrow.
We're really going to essentially be replacing a lot of the front end components on this. My inner part of my tire is worn, it's chopped. You can see where it's really just starting to come apart. This is, a good telltale sign that you got some front end components or an alignment issue, and I have both. So again, bad ball joints, bad wheel bearings, bad tie rods. I have an upper control arm that has never been tightened, wasn't tight when I brought this thing home, which allowed this whole thing to just back and forth, back and forth. Very dangerous, just means I've got to do a lot of front end work for it. The brake pads have about 50% remaining. They've got a little bit of time. They've been replaced at some point. But the thing that I don't like is right here on this rotor, all the grooves on this rotor, right in this area. Right here, smooth. Here, lots of grooves. I bet you I could put this thing on a turntable and we can get some music out of them grooves right there. So this is the left front tire. We're checking the date code on this. This 3413, 34th week, 13th year. These are 2013 tires, which means they're 11 years old. Same with this tire on the inside. Chopped, worn, uneven wear, completely different than this side. Another thing that I thought was odd is the tires just don't look like they fit on this truck right. On the actual side of the door, this sticker not only has the VIN, has the date it was manufactured, so this is a June 02 baby, but it also has tire size. Recommended tire size is 275/50/18. So we have the wrong size tires on this truck as well. Now of course they work. The engineers decide what tires go on a vehicle based on ride, performance. They do a lot of work to be able to determine what is going to be the best for the vehicle that they are building. So if you change your tire size, you're going to sacrifice something. You're either going to sacrifice comfort, drivability, or performance. Engineers have to come up with a number and a tire that's going to give you the best of all of that based on the vehicle that you're driving. Obviously, upgrading your tires, some people don't mind a harsher ride if they're going for that sport look, bigger rims, smaller sidewalls, stiffer ride. They're obviously doing some sporting stuff. But in the case of a Lincoln, we probably want to go back to the original size tires on this. It will change the way it looks, it will change the way it rides. And I want to keep that continuity with this vehicle. You replace brake pads in pairs, you replace rotors in pairs. I got a left one I don't like, so I'm going to replace both of them. And we also still had that problem too. Take a look at the rear brakes, and I'm going to be wrapping this up today. And a big old nail in the tire too. You can see how much material is left right here. And that's a substantial amount, and the rotors are in relatively decent shape too. Gotta remember, this vehicle sat for a long time, so they were a little rusted. You can see the frame on this truck. You know, anybody that's from the north watching this right now is gonna go, that's nice. And it's hard to believe that this truck is coming up on 22 years old. You can tell this has been a southern truck. This is just clean. This isn't the stuff you get in the Rust Belt areas of Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, where we're using a lot of salt on our roads every winter just so we can make it to work. They don't use that down south. And this is what you get. You get a vehicle that doesn't look like it's 20-something years old. Makes it easier to work with, obviously, too. When you're replacing components, I don't have to fight rust and everything else when I'm going to be taking apart these ball joints and control arms and all of that. At this point, we do have a couple other odds and ends that I'll be diagnosing along the way as I've been doing my inspection. Definitely got to take care of the check engine light with our misfires. We've got that shutter out of the transmission I got to deal with. We got some problems with the tonneau cover. I'd like to get the actual rear parking assist working. We had a DTC for that. We're in a good place right now with the Blackwood. At this point, it's really just about getting this thing back on the road little by little and getting it safe, getting it cleaned up. Can't wait to see it painted. We got a long way to go, but we're in the right place to start.
Today's technicians look to the aftermarket for quality parts so they can turn their bays and get their customers back on the road. BCA Bearings by NTN provides OE quality wheel hubs, bearings, and seals to ensure that when customers come back, they come back for the great service.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Yeah.
Really?
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 Really. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Jim. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you, too.
You know,
We got your part.
I can't believe it. You know, the Road to AAPEX, it's the second season of it. We're doing a Lincoln Blackwood.
Right.
And my LED light is damaged. You helped us out last year with the Cadillac Brougham bumper, which was like unbelievable that it's close to our, Akron location. And I need that LED light. The LED light on that bed is what makes it work, really neat looking. And I'm like, oh man, where am I going to find this light? I'm on it. All of a sudden I find it, click on it, and it's in Marshallville.
Well, both parts fit exactly what we do, the enthusiast choice.
You go to, people hear salvage yard or junk yard. It's not that way here. This is a little bit of a different operation in how you do things. Tell me a little,
Started 67 years ago.
Okay.
My grandfather, my grandmother, my father. We're now actually in our fourth generation because my son works here. And we're probably 95% eBay and almost all online. So we don't have cars in the yard like an average salvage yard. Mm-hmm. Everything is categorized, clean, photographed, and sold online. So,
and you guys don't deal with, I'm not going to get here and find parts for 2000 S10 or, you guys are a little different business model as in the way of the kind of cars that you are buying.
Correct.
And dealing with.
My brother and two of our other workers have to agree on everything we purchase. And he spends hours every day, and we buy cars from all over the country. So it's not uncommon for car haulers to be coming in all hours of the day. and it's just worth it for us to pay the extra for the towing just to get what we really want.
Yeah, and these are more of your rare cars.
It's an enthusiast vehicle. People enjoy, some of them, they're performance oriented. Some of them, it was mom or dad's car that they want to keep going, but they enjoy keeping the car looking good and running good, and that's what we have for them.
And I can't thank you enough for, I can't believe that you have the part, but thank you enough for helping us out again with this road to AAPEX out to
Happy to help out.
Las Vegas again.
This
is going to be, I can't believe this. Such an oddball piece. Thanks again.
All right. Nice to see you.
Good seeing you. You know, I was telling Jim, the odds that they had a bumper last year for Cadillac Brougham was one thing. The odds of them having parts for Lincoln Blackwood that I needed, super great guy. Jim is just always willing to help. I gave him a call about that, and he was just really excited to be a part of it again this year. It's one thing about the auto care industry. His friends are always willing to help out friends whenever they need it, whenever they can. That's what makes the auto industry so much fun. Let's get this part back to the shop, get it installed. I'll have a working tonneau cover, some working LED lights, and that is what the Blackwood is all about, is that bed working correctly. So I'm really excited to get that buttoned up and move on to the next project.
For the ones who demand the best, there's a Coates machine to get the job done right. Precision that never quits. Toughness that defines legends. Coates, engineered to perform, designed to last. Visit CoatesCompany.com to learn more.
Hardworking hands need a hardworking shop towel. Tough on everything from heavy metals and grease to tar and adhesives, Gojo scrubbing towels can be used anywhere heavy-duty hand and surface cleaning is required without water, even on the road to AAPEX.
So we're on our way right now to our friends over at TransStar. So easy. I went on their website, Transcend, and I was able to order the parts that I need for the Blackwood. I mean, it's just ironic that last year I needed a transmission for the Cadillac. I need one for the Blackwood too. It's got either an overdrive problem or a torque converter problem. Violently shaking when I was in overdrive. So they're going to provide us a rebuilt unit, and also just like the Cadillac, the air conditioning is out on the Blackwood. It hasn't worked for years. They've got all the parts we need. Nice and easy. Just went on their website, put everything I wanted, and it was available super fast. A lot of this stuff was same day that I could pick it up. So great to be able to pick up the parts today. Another step in the right direction for getting us on the road to AAPEX in the Blackwood. So let's go meet our friends over at TransStar and get these parts loaded up. Transmission's got a serious problem with overdrive or the torque converter clutch lockup. Holy God, every time it hit, like if you're in overdrive and it would try and downshift, the thing shook so violently, it scared the out of me. So I'd turn the overdrive off.
Oh, okay.
And then it would go away.
Yep.
Coast out a little bit, turn it back on, and it would be okay.
Okay.
But I mean, it shook so bad when it was either trying to lock up or something.
Kinda like a Jeep death wobble?
No, it was worse than that. Worse than that.
Oh,
I thought the transmission was actually going to stay on 71 somewhere in between North Carolina and Cleveland.
Like the old Amco commercial.
Yes.
Where the parts start falling out. Yeah.
If you ever have a transmission problem, you can get a warranty that lasts as long as you own your car.
You guys, All right, yeah, that works. Get the big boys, not me. Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your help. That's the most work you've done in weeks. So we got the transmission, we got all our AC parts now. Got to see our friend Dave. Dave's been in a lot of our videos. He's a transmission guru. He knows a lot about automatic transmissions and just a great guy. Time to head back to the shop, get these unloaded, get back to work.
TranStar Industries is a global leader in aftermarket distribution with 45 years of experience, offering speedy delivery on transmission, differential, and AC parts through local stocked branches and a national distribution network. TranStar now offers high-quality OE recycled transmissions and transfer cases, a perfect choice for cost-conscious customers. TranStar is continuing to expand product offerings, including brakes, electrical, steering, suspension, and more, helping you to provide your customers with fast, reliable service. TranStar parts are available for online ordering through transcend.us or right through your shop management system. Ordering with TranStar has never been easier.
United Motor Products has been manufacturing and delivering OEM replacement engine management products for 35 years, trusted by installers for over 3 decades. You can be sure United Motor Products produces and delivers the quality products you can trust. Visit UnitedMotorProducts.com.
On our earlier assessment of our Blackwood, we had noticed that the front fascia was cracked, but I didn't know the extent of the damage to the front bumper. The front bumper is pretty well beat up. You know, you think back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s for that matter, the bumper itself was part of the actual exterior of the vehicle. It was chrome, it was big, it was an energy absorbent. Today, your bumper is now covered by what we call a front fascia. So it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, if you will, on the vehicle. So the bumper itself is the one that's designed to take the impact. Fascia, they're plastic. You know, they might get hit and they could bounce back a little bit. So you don't know the extent of the damage until you actually take the fascia off and look behind here. And you can tell that I've got numerous impacts. Took a lot more damage than I thought it did. Good collision in the front end. Knocked some panels loose, broke some other shields underneath, and the left inner fender well damaged as well. So I'm going to need to replace these components. Now, the good thing is, you know, Blackwood owners are a little concerned that it's hard to find parts. And it can be for some of the things, especially anything with the tonneau cover. But the front end of this is basically a Navigator. Same with the interior, a lot of Navigator components. So if you could find a Navigator in a junkyard anywhere from the 98 to 2002 range, the front fascia, front bumper, all of those are the same components. I'm going to remove the actual bumper itself. Once you have the fascia off, it's really just a matter of disconnecting your fog lights with the electrical connector, and you've got 421mm bolts that are securing it to the actual frame itself. And then you can remove the entire bumper assembly. And that's what we're going to do now. Get it out of the way. That way when my new parts arrive, I can bolt them on and get ready to get it painted and whatever else we've got to do to this vehicle. And here's our bump. So you can see we've got our new bumper and our fascia. Yeah, it's red and gray, but we know we're also going to be painting this truck. The more important thing was I needed that new bumper reinforcement and a non-cracked fascia. Again, with the Blackwood, it's an oddball truck. There's no question about that. But it did share a lot of components with the Lincoln Navigator. So I found parts for a Lincoln Navigator and got the front bumper and cover from there. They're a bolt up. It's direct. There's no difference in the way that the styling is of it. Obviously the paint's different, but the bumper support's the same. The fog lights are the same. So it's pretty much a plug and play. So I'm going to go ahead and install my bumper reinforcement first, I'm going to get those 4 nuts started on the back. I'm not going to tighten them all the way up yet, though. You do have a little bit of side to side that I want to kind of get lined up perfectly with fascia, and then I'll finish tightening them down and getting it all buttoned up. But at least this part is now no longer damaged, and the fascia's not cracked. It's going to be easy to paint, and we'll get that handled and no time at all. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that on.
When I take parts off, I like to wipe everything down behind there, which I already did. Wipe down the old parts down. It's just, I don't know, it just looks better. It just makes me feel better. I'm probably slightly insane too. All right, all that's left to do is I got a couple 10mm or 11mm bolts, a couple 7mm on the side, and the fascia is back in place and ready to be painted. Hey, it looks weird now, but it looks a lot better than it did when we first drove it in.
Since 1927, AP Emissions has been your source for complete exhaust innovation. We're your one-stop shop for the exhaust brands you know and the quality you trust. Visit APEmissions.com.
The entire weight of today's vehicle is supported on a surface smaller than a credit card, inside the wheel hub assembly. With so much riding on it, why would you use something other than OE quality replacement parts? OE quality, premium product. BCA bearings by NTN. Aftermarket Armor introduces a bed liner that has a 4-hour pot life, which is twice as long as the competition, giving you the needed time to complete the job. A proprietary formulated product giving you the best UV resistance, protecting your vehicle from sun fade for years to come. Find out more at aftermarketarmor.com.
When the OE part fails, count on the brand with world-class engineering, precision manufacturing, and more than 100 years of experience. When OE fails, trust Standard. What's in your box?
Next time on Road to AAPEX.
We have a lot of parts and there's a lot of work to do.
You guys got a couple things to start on before I get here, and then we'll get it going.
Joe and Eric are working on exhaust, working on brakes, U-joints, everything to make this vehicle road ready. The students are doing the painting and they're doing some color sanding.
Time is getting a little short. We're getting up against it that we got to get on the road.